I couldn't sleep. The pharmacy is closing down. There's a little local pharmacy. It's a bad thing, probably, because there's old people, and it would be good if they could stay close to home to get their medicine. And it's closing down, and they were selling everything in the store, even the displays and everything. So I thought, you know, I would check it out. Somebody said the pharmacy's closing down, maybe you get something cheap. I did. It was soda sweetened with stevia. It's called soda. No, I read the label and it actually said sweetened with stevia. That was a sweetener, not erythritol. You know what erythritol is? It's some kind of fermented E. coli bacteria or something. I think that aspartame is a similar thing. Why do you want to have fermented E. coli? It's like what they did with the cheese. Do you know about the cheese? That 90% of cheese in America is cultured on black mold. But it's okay to eat because they take the black mold out of it. Hey, please, if there was ever a comment that other people wanted to read on my channel, it would be, tell me, because I haven't even typed it up, because I probably just will. What's that other 10%? What's the 10% of cheese brands that don't culture their cheese with black mold? You realize that that's just poisoning us. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna kill you. We're gonna make your sweeteners out of fermented E. coli bacteria, and that's okay, we'll remove it, and then we're gonna put, you know how people like cheese, that's like an American thing, right? American cheese, black mold. So anyway, you saw the title of this video. We're gonna talk about the extinction of women. But I couldn't sleep because I don't drink anything with caffeine in it. I'm like I eat pretty good, probably. I like donuts, that's probably not so good. I only eat clearance donuts though, when they go on clearance. What are you paying for a dozen of donuts that you shouldn't eat? Well, it doesn't matter because I only pay $1.75 because they're like a day old, and I put them in the freezer, and I get like a whole bunch of donuts. Do the math on that. Spend $12 and have like donuts in the standing freezer, and I probably shouldn't eat them at all. But I got the soda sweetened with stevia just because I don't drink soda. I never have that stuff, and it's very good, but it has caffeine in it, and I forgot about that. So, and they don't have color. They don't put caramel color in it because the caramel color is poison. And this is about women. We're gonna get to that. So anyway, I'm talking about how all the food is poison. Anyway, so I drank the stevia and now I can't sleep. You thought it was gonna be, I was like, oh, the state of the world, I can't sleep. No, that doesn't keep me awake at night. I do not fear it. But caffeine, that'll keep you awake. So hold on, I got like a booger in the corner of my eye or something. So, I'm still awake and I should be asleep. So I was thinking about women. None of your business, except that I'm making it your business. I want to talk about the extinction of women. I was thinking about how honorable #1 baby girl in China gets thrown into an empty rice bag with a rock and thrown into the river, and then they fine you for, you'll throw the baby in the river, and they don't care about the baby girl. They have one hell of a ground army in China, don't they? It's because they got rid of all the women. The plans for the future. There was this movie called Y: The Last Man, and it stood out in my brain because it was a comic book from DC Comics where there was like one man left. It was like men are few and far between. And somebody told me about the comic book, and they're like, no, you'd really like it, because a lot of my buddies were into comic books and they grew up and they still read them. Maybe not anymore. Since 2016 they probably don't read comics anymore because they all suck. But before then there was this like Vertigo Comics or whatever, Y: The Last Man on Earth, which is probably based on a book or a novella or something. And in it, the planet was all women and no men. And I was like, the math isn't really there. Because I read Huxley's Brave New World, and in Brave New World, there's no need for moms because everybody's mom is Lenina. And Lenina is the overseer of the hatcheries. because babies are hatched because women have the wombs, and in the future, the brave new world, you don't need women because you're hatched, you're not born. So the plan, the title of this episode, The Extinction of Women, is, well, that's the plan. Like, that's how we get here. We get here through the womb. So they're trying to do everything. Who's they? The wealthy elite whose fortunes shape the fates of nations. The real top 1%. Whoever you think the top 1% are, it's those other guys. But some of the people, you know who they are. Like that guy that's trying to give, he says he's a computer guy, but his dad was like a eugenics guy. And he wants to give us one MIC education worldwide so that everybody all over the world gets the same education, so that we all think the same. That sounds like a great idea. And you stay home in a computer and you learn all over the world. Everybody's the same. It's like one taste worldwide, McSoft. No, it's not. There's no soda in here. It's lemonade. But anyway, I can't sleep, and I want to talk about the extinction of women, because in Huxley's Brave New World, Lenina is everybody's mom, and she's crazy. She's probably hot, but she's also crazy, and that's the reason why John the Savage shuffles himself off this mortal coil using a noose, and then nobody knows what to do. So Lenina and her friends see John hanging there, lifeless, and they decide to fall down into an orgy-porgy dog pile. Orgy-porgy means like an orgy. So they're like, wow, what do we do? That guy just shuffled himself off this mortal coil. I don't know. How about if we have an orgy? Anyway, that's Huxley for you. Copyright, like in the early 1920s, he copyrighted that story that came out. That while he was still alive, he read it. Do you want me to read Huxley's Brave New World to you? Or we could just listen to an abbreviated version of it read by Huxley himself. I did it before in the past. I could do that video again, and you can watch me make silly faces and monkey shines while I become shocked and outraged, and I can put little words across the screen where, hey, you know, Mustafa Armand is our leader and everybody works for the factory, and I could put a Target logo there or a Walmart logo or whatever. So anyway, I think they want to get rid of all the women. Look at what China did. They devalued women because they have wombs. So that's how we get here, right? And if they want to use technology to bring people here, in Huxley in 1922, he was headed that way. He was, you know, probably rubbing elbows with bums with H.P. Lovecraft? H.G. Wells. H.G. Wells was a Fabian socialist, and his books were propaganda, War of the Worlds, all that stuff. But I want to keep it focused on women, because I think the real plan is not to have all women on the planet and there's no guys to reproduce. No, it's to get the women to destroy themselves. That's how it works. Demons are legalistic, and demons whispering into women's ears through, I guess, through the internet, and trying to, you know, get them to do. It's like they want us to do it to ourselves. I don't know how else to say it. Like, demons are legalistic, so they want us to do stuff that hurts ourselves, and then they can go to God and say, but look what they did, Lord. Look what all the women are doing. They did this, so that now that means that we can do this. Do you understand? This is how demons work. It's as simple as I can make it. Like, the demons whisper into the woman's ear, whether figuratively or actually, or because of think tanks and because of the content they watch. And women do all this stuff to degrade themselves. Men don't have sympathy. They hate the women. And you have guys like, you know, Andrew Tate and all these other guys that say all women are all hoes and they're all 308, 304s or whatever. She's for the streets and all this stuff. And you get the women on leashes and all this stuff, and then they turn 18 and do OnlyFans. This is the way to get women to open themselves up to being extinct. Women are the weaker sex, but they're also how we get here. How many guys do you know that have just a mom, and their mom is like, you know, having too many lovers, and then there's the welfare state that encourages, well, don't have a dad, we'll give you just enough to get by, and set these limitations on the welfare system so you stay in it. I've heard people arguing, it was a couple and they had children, and his job was getting too good that they were going to lose their welfare benefits. And she's like, but do you understand that if this is how much money you make now that you got, like, she wasn't saying, oh great, he's got a promotion, maybe we can get off of welfare. She was arguing with him because they were going to lose their medical benefits because he was making more money and they were in the welfare system. So it was being discouraged that he should make more money or take the promotion because he worked at the dump. I'm not kidding. And they were like arguing about it because that's how the welfare system works. It's like they will take care of you, but it can't get too good, because if it does, then you'll lose your benefits and you won't be able to afford, like, well, for one, like health insurance. Like, well, you'll, So anyway, so the demons want to get women to, I don't know how else to say it. I'm just saying it like I mean it, like I honestly mean it. Like, whether you're a man or a woman, forces of darkness or forces of evil are trying to get you to do the evil stuff so they can say, well, hey, you signed up for this, so now that means we get to prey upon you this way. And then they take it to God, and the demons say, but look, she did this, so that means she can do this. And you get a whole bunch of people doing bad stuff, and then you open yourselves up to the consequences of that. So the demons are legalistically allowed to prey on you. That's why people hate lawyers. People hate lawyers because it's a reflection of demons. Not to say that all lawyers are bad people, that's absurd, but the legalistic ways of demons having an influence on us, we open ourselves up to being preyed upon when we sin. So look at how women are being attacked. Like, I feel as though everything we see through the internet is attacks on women, whether it's encouraging men to have every woman be a red flag woman or to perceive them that way, but also to have women do a lot of stupid stuff. And we can see the videos of it. There's compilations of TikToks. There's all the different, the manosphere, all the different guys who have a channel called something something the wall, and they talk about women hitting the wall. And AI bots are taking videos of women and showing how they're doing stupid stuff. And it's all to prey upon them, because those are our moms. And being a mom is like the super most important job that there is for any woman. And granted, not all women are supposed to be moms. And I would always say to women that were really angry and violent about not wanting to be, verbally abusive about not wanting to be moms and how it was terrible, I was like, great, you're the kind of woman that probably shouldn't have kids if that's your opinion. But then they get a little bit older, or they get too old to have kids, and then they'll still say that they hate kids, but they regret it. And a dog's just not a kid. Like, a dog doesn't grow up to take care of you when you're old. They just die and you get another dog until you can't take care of the dog anymore. And so I'm seeing all this stuff as attacks on women to destroy them, because they have the wombs, and that's how we get here. So if you want to control the world, let the women destroy themselves and set up the situations through the internet and through social media platforms so that men don't want to protect them, and so that men and women don't meet up. And so we have the dating websites that favor women not being, like, this is one of the things I used to see with my parents. Like, my dad always complaining about my mom. Just make up your mind. Really what he could have done, and he did do it eventually as I was growing up and developing, was he would just decide things. He would say, what do you want to do? And then she couldn't make up her mind, and he'd say, come on, can't you make up your mind? The answer is no. So bring that into the internet age, where parents are not as good as they used to be, because the world's tougher and both the parents have to work and they don't get to spend time with the kids and all that kind of stuff. And you need, like, men and women, boys and girls both need an example of who to be and who to find. And if you don't have that, you wind up with LGBT, trans, everything. And bringing it back to Huxley again, the Huxley brothers, Aldous Huxley wrote Brave New World, where Lenina is everybody's mom because you don't need a mom if you're hatched instead of born. or as you might want to put it, if you're grown in a plastic bag. But that's Aldous Huxley. Julian Huxley, Aldous' brother, coined the word transhumanism, and trans means crossing over, and humanism is what Star Trek is about, like crossing over from being human. Like Star Trek is a humanist worldview, and which I'm not a humanist. Star Trek's a lot of fun, right? But it's it's a humanist worldview, and that's the Star Trek future. It's space communism. It doesn't work. It's a fantasy. Now they don't even allow it. Like whatever the new Star Trek is, I don't know. I don't watch it. But the new Star Trek was just about destroying the past and killing it because they must, like Kylo Ren said in Star Wars. So they're just destroying everything. Whatever the culture is, destroy it. And if the culture is moms and dads, then tell women they need to be strong, independent women, and then, find out how hard it is to take care of yourself without a man. And then the women that want a man, you know what I mean? Like, it's all, like, just think of anything about women that you can't stand, about what they do in their videos when they make TikToks. I want you to see me crying, and they're crying in the video. And sometimes even apologizing, knowingly doing the horrible stuff. They're admitting how horrible they are. And probably a lot of those videos where women are crying, admitting how terrible they are, is really just because they think that will help them get a guy to take care of them. It's not a wrong impulse for a woman to want a man to take care of her. That's how it was. But it was also, like obvious stuff that before I said it. A man and a woman making a nest together. And then that's a place to bring people here because that's how we get here. But when you have Oprah Winfrey and Bill Gates and all these bozos saying that there's too many people and they come up with all the climate change lies and all this stuff, women have the wombs. This episode, video, whatever you want to call it, is about the extermination of women because that's the game here. All the pornography, all the self-subjugation of women where they're like, I'm a sex worker. It's all just to devalue the stock of women. But part of it is how demons work, is to get the women to... I feel like I should start this whole video over again. To get the women to do it to themselves. To get them to devalue themselves because it opens themselves up to be preyed upon by everyone. Because they're like, no, you guys did this. You gals did this to yourselves. And then there's no sympathy, and it opens them for the demons and their legalistic ways to prey upon the women and ruin them. And then the guys are like, yeah, that's gross. I don't want to marry a girl like that. I don't want her. Why do I want a girl that's all banged out by every other dude? Yeah, that doesn't equal love, and having too many sexual partners makes women crazy. You're leaving cellular information behind. It's telegony. It's the phenomenon of telegony. They tried to mate zebras with horses, and it didn't work. But then when two horses had sex, the babies came out with zebra stripes. That's telegony, and it does transfer over into the human world. The story of the soldier that goes away to war and has sex with a prostitute and comes back to his best gal in Caucasoid town where everybody has blonde hair and blue eyes, and then he comes home from the war and marries his best gal, and then they have sex, and the baby comes out with almond eyes, olive skin, and black hair. That's telegony, and that stuff happens. And it also probably happens on a lot of, in the 1990s, they had these paternity test daytime TV talk shows, and the people were whatever color they were, and the baby came out of another race. Why that baby's skin is too dark? Obviously, I'm not the father. Well, you might have been, but it's telegony, and it's the kind of thing that they hide that extends into different species. Not just different races, but different species of animals. Like with the example of the horses and the zebras. So, anything to humiliate a woman, because this is about their extermination, because they have the wombs, and it's how we get here. And mom and dad are super, super important. Moms have a really, really super important role to play in the development of children, because traditionally throughout the entirety of human history, except for some aberrations of weirdos that live closed off from other people, the dad goes out and hunts and gathers, and the mom stays home and makes sure that the kids develop properly, and then the dad comes home and he helps with their development. And if you're a boy, you have an example of who to be. If you're a girl, you have an example who to be, and that's mom and dad, right? And you also have an example of who to find. Somebody like your mom who's a good mom, somebody like your dad who's a good dad. But now it's all scrambled up, and that's why I brought the welfare system into it before. There's so many things I want to say about this. I hope you're still here, because the welfare system is set up on purpose to break the family apart, because it's a divide and conquer strategy. It's the kind of thing I talk about all the time. I've been talking about it for years. It's the main strategy. Isolate, which they did in 2020 when they told everybody to stay home and stay 6 feet under from one another. Divide and conquer. Divide the family. Encourage the mom to be a single mom, and ask a single mom. She'll tell you how hard it is. She's dependent on that welfare money and on the money from the dad that doesn't get to see his kids. It's about destroying the family. And it's not that women are no good. It's that they're the weaker sex and they've been preyed upon horribly. I know there's some horrible women. I dated them. I can't believe I put my thing in there. But yes, there's horrible women and horrible men. But I feel as though women have been preyed upon. That's why the husband, biblically, which is important, it's the rules to live by. The husband is the head of his wife, because the guy's supposed to be able to lead. And yet, in another way, when the father's not there, because he's out in the world, because men are made to take it all, and they do, even if they don't have a mate, even more so probably. But if you do have a mate, then when dad's away, the mom's the leader, right? So it's really super important. So they tell women like, oh, you could be so much more, you could be a job. And they dismiss the idea of how important it is to be a mom, and how it's the most important job there is, and that it's godly. Like, to be a mom is like important to God. Like, there's a super high premium on this. It's our development. It's like you grew up, we all grow up. But if they want less people, then destroy the womb. So everything's an attack on the womb. And that's what we're living in. Like, there's so many other things that I could bring into it about all the little ways that everything is about an attack on the womb, and to get the man to stand down or say, I don't care, to become a man going their own way, or a MGTOW or a WGTOW to women going their own way, to not reproduce, not marry, to be a wine aunt, and have pets instead of kids, to try and fill the void with animals, and it's not going to work. That's divide and conquer strategy. Get people isolated and alone, and then give them all kinds of propaganda through other people's videos to tell them that they made the right decision by making themselves miserable not having a mate. And I've seen way too many videos where women are complaining about how they hit their 30s and they don't have, and they're still perfectly viable as mates, even if they're getting too old to have kids or whatever. But they're like, they give up. They're like, yeah, I don't know what to do. So some of them will blame, some of them will just feel that they're not worthy of having a mate, and then some of them will just double down, triple down, quadruple down, and say that men are no good. And there's so many different ways, that the men and the women are being programmed through social media, through the internet, to cancel out ever finding someone and staying with them. And the more different bodies you switch, the more desensitized to the idea of love, and it becomes not special anymore. That's why there was such a premium on virginity in the past. One, I would say, because telegony, whatever they called it in the past, but also because just like women have a hard time making up their mind. Maybe it's just, I don't know what you want to call it, even say it's chauvinistic. I don't care. Like, women have a hard time making up their mind, and they know this. That's why they give them infinite options to swipe on the phone apps. Like, a man will pick a girl and say, okay, that's it, let's go. She likes me, I like her, and they'll go. But women aren't like that. No, I think I can do better. They're looking for the best. They want to settle down, but they don't want to settle. There's been so much propaganda thrown at women since being childhood. I mean, there's one set of propaganda thrown at boys, and the stuff they gave to girls was the Disney princess programming. There's quite a few videos on stuff that think tanks stunk up to give you this Disney princess programming, and a princess needs a prince, and the prince is an impossible, transparent non-entity in those Disney princess movies. What kind of guy is a prince in any Disney princess movie? He's superfluous. He's just the best looking animated guy in the movie. He's always the handsomest guy, right? Every women want the best guy, so then they can't make up their minds, so you just keep them swiping and trying new guys, and then they get banged out by a lot of dudes, and then the men figure this out because they're on no dating websites too, and they're like, yeah, it's just she's been with too many dudes. I've lived this where we're looking at pictures and stuff, and I'm like, together even, and I'm like, yeah, this is too many dudes. Like, she had a lot of boyfriends, I'm dating somebody younger than me, and she's had more boyfriends than I've dated women, and I'm like, I don't want that. So, and I'm not special, so why would I want anything? You know what I mean? I'm not special. I'm just like everybody else. I have the same complex of human emotions as anyone else. So, and it's sad, because the whole plot is, think about this. As if you aren't already. It's about the extinction of women. It's about making less women, and then, like, even in India, I think it was like a year or two ago, in some place, one of the regions or provinces of India, they're like, look, there's just not enough wives, so they made some thing that said people weren't allowed to marry or whatever. Do you remember this? I'll let it go because I can't remember it. But yeah, and in China they don't have. Where's all the women? I know that there are people having families and stuff, but it was not that long ago that, like, if you had a daughter, like, there just wasn't value in their culture. They would, a lot of baby girls went to adoption, and they would just get rid of them because it was a daughter and not a son. Oh, the son can take care of the family, and women will never have a high position in the family, so everybody wanted to have number one son. So they'd, get rid of their daughters. There's a lot of people in China. It's one of the most populated places in the world, and what's number one and number two is India and China, right? And they both have the same problems. You've seen about the horrible stuff of the gang attacks against women in India. Yeah, it's called rape. So there's not enough women to go around, and they want to do that. They want to make it like that in the future. Just use the men to do whatever and get rid of the women because they're the womb man. That's why it's called. Why do they call men men and women women? Well, because the woman is the womb man. Because everybody could be classified as man, right? Like the human race, it's man. It's not just men. Man used to connote, capital M-A-N, I guess, used to connote both sexes, men and women. Both were included as man, and this is in English. But the womb man, they have the wombs. That's how we get here. It's like super important, and having a good mom is super important. And a lot of people do have good moms, but a lot of people don't. And as I said before, I've dated some of those terrible moms. I've dated moms. That's why I tell you not to do it. Till you're old. If you're an old person and you want to, like you're like you're like in your 40s or something, you want to date a mom, go ahead and, hope you've established yourself to raise somebody else's kids or whatever. Pick one that the dad's not around at all and is not coming back or whatever. Maybe your odds will be better. those kids still need a good example of a man. There you go, Insta Dad, you're on deck. But not for a young guy. You know what I mean? A young guy shouldn't be dating a mom, I didn't think. But this is situational. Some people, they make it work or whatever. But the point is that we should have a mom and a dad both, and they should be together with each other. And, they've done a lot to destroy parenting. And putting drugs out all over the place, like having weed parents, is kind of an awful thing. That's not just an attack on women, it's just, that it's a terrible idea, the idea of weed parents, like parents that can be high all the time, because that's not good. It messes up with the kids. Now we got Gen Z, and Gen Alpha is in school and they can't read and they're still wearing diapers and they're in school, and that's awful. And it's a willful, deliberate effort to dumb us down. I mean, a long time ago, like in the 1990s, John Taylor Gatto, who was a school teacher, award-winning school teacher, he said they're dumbing us down, they're making the kids stupider, and nothing made them dumber than programming kids on the internet. Have you seen the videos where the kids go nuts that they can't do anything without the tablet? Like going to a restaurant and the kid's throwing a tantrum till the mom puts a tablet in front of them, and then the kid watches the tablet and eats. I've heard stories of kids that, somebody told me this, and it was like so heartbreaking. I said, yeah, have you seen the videos where the kids go nuts because they're not in front of a tablet? And then the woman said, oh yeah, but my daughter, she only just needs it to go to sleep. So every night the kid goes to sleep in front of a tablet. I mean, it does put you in a hypnagogic trance to stare at the monitor, but that's not a way to go to sleep. How are you going to go to sleep when you go to sleep every night in front of a tablet to get tired? That's a terrible thing. That's a woman. So if you don't have good parents, how are you going to be one? It's possible. A lot of people, my generation had terrible parents, so they said, I'm not going to be like that. And then they weren't. They became good parents. And I'm sure that still holds for Zoomer parents that had terrible Gen X parents, or were raised by their Boomer grandparents or whatever. And it's possible to be good parents, all right? By design, in every generation it's possible. But it gets harder. If you don't have an example of who to be or who to find, how are you going to be like that? How are you going to find them? That's when you're a kid, you need an example of who to be, whether you're a boy or a girl, becoming a man or a woman. And you need an example of who to find. That's your spouse. And then you're supposed to stay together for life. People were made to mate for life so that you could have all the stages of development. Think about it in terms of like gaming, like all the different levels of a game. And high level scores would be like you live long enough to be great grandparents, right? Wow, what more could you ask for in terms of the family thing? You want to live long enough to see your great grandkids. You're probably not going to get more than that. But a lot of people are miserable. They never had that example of who to be and who to find. So then they watch videos trying to figure out who to be. And look at all the bozos that social media platforms give the attention to. Andrew Tate was a pimp. That's his claim to fame, is he's a pimp and he's kind of gay. And then fill in the blank all the other guys that the boys were watching, and fill in the blank the names of the women video and TikTok makers that are talking about how you don't need men and all this stuff. And then you miss out on life, and you don't have a mate, you don't pair up, or you make impossible standards where you're a big fat slob with 7 kids, but you need your man that makes $200,000 a year, whatever it is, and that doesn't even mean shit anymore. That's not enough anymore. How are you doing? That's not enough. Just for anybody, the way things are going. You want to get Bitcoin so that your grandkids, if you ever even have any, I don't know how old you are watching this, do you want to get a Bitcoin so that maybe your grandkids will benefit from it? I don't know. maybe. But people just want love. It's like the most basic thing. Everybody wants at least one other person that they can trust. And we're made by this. We're made by design like this. We're made to pair up. Even LGBTQ people want that one person they can trust that's like exactly the same as them with the same parts and everything. But everybody, we're made to pair off and to pair up with each other. And the relationship that a man and a woman can have, two lovers, let's just say a man and a woman can have, that's not the kind of relationship that you have with your parents, that you have with your kids, that you have with your friends. It's your best friend. Your mate is really supposed to be your best friend. Not that you wouldn't have, like your best friend that's your best man at your wedding, or your best woman at the wedding. What do they call that? Matron of honor at the wedding. Yeah, those would be your best friends if you have them. But really, the core relationship for a successful family is the husband and wife, the man and a woman being best friends. And for the longest time, even before I was born, that's not the way that it was looked at. That husband and wife are supposed to be best friends. It really is. Like, that's your most closest intimate relationship. Where the only closer that the two of you could get with anybody is when you pray together to God. That's intimacy. And it doesn't, you're taking it to the top. You're praying together with your mate who is your best friend. Do you understand that that's how it's supposed to be? Anyway, they're destroying the women to make them extinct because they have the wombs. And we won't let them. We have to start fighting against that, because they've been coming after our women. They just want to wreck them, and then they want us to not care about them. And in some way I blame men, because we dropped the ball. We were supposed to protect them and watch out for them, and instead we were rejecting them and persecuting them, and then we let them do all this disgusting stuff, and we didn't speak out soon enough saying, just stop all the stuff you're doing. It's a ruiner. But then again, what kind of, there's a lot of men that didn't know how to be men either. So, we did the same thing that the women did. Just complain about them and point out all their flaws, but not realize our role to play in it as, the husband is the head of his wife. So in a weird way, doesn't our responsibility kind of come first? Yes, but a lot of us had terrible moms. So you see what I mean? You could just keep playing past the blame, but we're both responsible. And where the buck stops is that the husband is supposed to be the head of his wife. So father's not doing right, or not being able to do right by their daughters because they don't even get to see them. Father's not doing right by their daughters. Older brother's not doing right by their sisters. Boyfriends not being good boyfriends and trying to, be slut makers and all this stuff. Like, he's a slut maker. Remember that guy? Jesse Lee Peters. A woman's love is the devil. I wonder what kind of mom he had. Probably not the best. It's a fallen world. We're flawed. Nobody has a perfect mom and a perfect dad, but these are things that we could strive for, right? It's sad, but really, again, where the buck stops is, I feel like it was some kind of responsibility for men, and we dropped the ball, and we let our daughters become sluts. We let when we were dating, trying to find a woman to keep, we were trying to get the women to have sex. And this is like a generational thing. I'm not just blaming whatever generation you are. This goes past us. You can see a degradation of man in stages. And I blame movies and TV shows for encouraging it, and popular music. Pop cherry music, you should call it. Paradise by the Dashboard Light. It's truthful. That's a Meatloaf song. It's truthful, but it's also fornication. We're not supposed to fornicate. You're supposed to be bad at sex and get married, and then that's your whole secret world that you discovered between you and your spouse. Matrimony, marital bliss. Right? That's why God wanted us, because he knew. All right? Because he made everything. He said, no, save it for marriage. That makes your relationship even special. How special is it when you're married to the woman and she does all this crazy stuff in bed, and you're like, yeah, where'd she learn that from? Because it wasn't from me, because she had a lot of experience before you married her. Or or the guy not just being disrespectful and thinking that his wife is his own personal whore. That's no good either. So, you know, yeah, in some way the men are supposed to be in charge, and I feel like that's what happened in the Garden of Eden. I mean, Eve's tasting the forbidden fruit, and then Adam's right next to her the whole time, and she's like, "Here, try this," and he's like, "Okay." I know it's not really a fruit, it's the forbidden knowledge that was before its time. But do you understand that, like, Adam was there and he didn't get any trouble. Eve showed up, and then the devil's like, "Oh, I'll go after her." So then the husband is the head of his wife, and that's a man. And we kind of messed up. Like, they tricked us, and they got to our women, and now they want to wreck us, and we're not being forgiving of the women, and the men and the women aren't forgiving of the men. That's a disaster. That leaves us open to the legalistic ways of demons to prey on both of us, and that's part of the divide and conquer strategy. And the wealthy elite whose fortunes shape the fates of nations have think tank meetings about this kind of thing to figure out how to divide us, because isolated units are more easy to control, and selfish, isolated people stay in your world of games and stay asleep and look at pornography and look at the most beautiful women in the world doing the nastiest stuff, and just imagine that you're the phantom torso, and then you won't respect women, and you'll never, no matter, you know what I mean? Like, you're not supposed to be seeing that stuff. You fall in love with somebody that's like at your level of attractiveness, and you love each other and you stay together and it works. But when you see the impossible athletics of pornographic stars, you're like, wow, how could you ever be with somebody like that? Or you would never be that guy because you know what you look like, and you'll never get a girl like that because of what you look like. And then the women can think the same things, and they watch all this stuff, and it cancels out love. We're not supposed to know about it. I've said it over and over again for years. We're supposed to be bad at sex because we're not having it. That's why there's a premium on virginity to this day. And you know, we're either trying to get him to give it up to us, and you're ruining it for some other guy. That's supposed to be some other guy's wife that you're just trying to get her to go down on you, or to do some kind of sex act with you, because, you know, like, people get heated up. It's supposed to be saved for marriage, and they wrecked it. And I blame movies and TV and pop music. I really do. And then they make up science and all this evil Kinsey stuff and all these perversions, and you know, Playboy magazine was not a good thing. Oh, it's just Playboy magazine, that's tame. It's just beautiful naked women. Yeah, you're not supposed to see them. You're supposed to be looking at the naked woman that married you, and you can see all that. And that's it. Jesus said, hey, you don't have to commit the sex act. You lusted in your heart. And we lust in our hearts daily, and now we have the terms that they're using for it today are gooning, where there's nowhere to go, nothing to do until another war heats up and they want to send you to protect Skexreal or whatever. It's a trick. It's divide and conquer. It's to have you never achieve love, and to release dopamine and chemicals in your brain so that when there's a person there, it can never compete with your fantasies or your impossible fantasy lover. People are falling in love with cartoons and generated images, AI generated art. That's a new one I can throw into the mix now, because that's part of it now. You can bang Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl images or whatever, AI prompts. That's not the same thing as a girl in your neighborhood that you grew up with, that's your speed, that's your high school sweetheart. I mean, you know, it's bad. I mean, even when I was a young guy, the girls would have tabs from soda cans, and they would have necklaces made of tabs every time they did a sex act. They would. And I remember I dated a girl in high school, and when I was in high school too, I just want to say that. We were both in high school, and she had like this necklace, and I knew what that was. And I said, what's that? And she said, that's tabs. That's, you have a tab and you put it on the necklace for every time you did some kind of sex thing. And it was like a whole necklace. It was probably heavy. I know it was made out of aluminum, But I was like, that's a lot. And she's like, yeah, I know. She said, I just wanted to make the necklace, so I just took off every soda can, her dad's beer cans, and made the necklace. And I was like, yeah, but basically you're boasting about that you had like a lot of sex, which she did, but she lied to me about it and said that she didn't because she was embarrassed and she wanted me to like her. And now I knew that she was a slut, but I liked her anyway, so it kind of didn't matter. And plus she was doing all that stuff with me. So now I was the guy, and she was very pretty. And it didn't work out well. So, and that was in the Stone Age when I was growing up with Fred Flintstone and went to Bedrock High and all that stuff. And yeah, it was true that Betty was very beautiful. She married Barney Rubble, and like a beautiful woman would marry a little sawed-off, blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy, a black-eyed guy actually. Used to get into a lot of fights, Barney Rubble. I don't know if you know about the Flintstones. It's not a thing anymore. It's a long time ago. So, yeah, they're ruining our women on purpose, and we gotta fight against it before they start trying to exterminate them. Then there's all the stuff that's being done, like in Texas, they forced the girls to get birth control shots whether they wanted to or not. I mean, I don't know if they're still doing that, but there's a couple schools that tried to make them do that. They're like, no, you have to get it, because the kids are too promiscuous, so they have to get some kind of shots that'll make it so that they'll probably never have kids, right? Or healthy kids, or the flipper babies that can pull levers inside the factory or whatever, that we don't need because we have, everything's going to be done by AI, right? So yeah, they're ruining our women, and I'm going to end this, but there's so many different ways. Think about all the stuff that they've been doing. I want you to change the way you've been thinking about this, as if you didn't get this from me before, because I've talked about this before, like years ago, but this is like my update video on that they're destroying women on purpose. Yeah, they have the wombs. That's how we get here. So they want to wreck women every way they can. They want to get the women to wreck themselves, so that way they can say, but you guys went along with it. And they want them to, and they want the men to say, yeah, you guys are just a bunch of sluts, you're no good. And then they'll mistreat the women. And guys, a lot of guys do that already. And women, like abuse themselves. And all the stuff is starting at OnlyFans and selling your virtue and all that stuff. Women don't realize the premium that there is on their virtue. It's like one of the highest things that you could ever offer to your prince or your high value man. I don't know if there's any women watching this. To your high value man is actually your virginity. It's like the premium thing. Like, I don't even need to know who you are, but you would, like, no matter how old you are, wouldn't it be great if you found a virgin that was age appropriate to you? You'd want to marry her, right? You're like, wow, this woman likes me and I'm the only guy that got in there. That's like, hey, I'm not special. I'm not different than anybody else. I've never in my life ever dated a virgin. I saw one once. They were Catholics, and she was like a 28-year-old virgin, and the guy was a nerd, and she was too hot for him. But he got her, he married her, he actually got a virgin. Maybe she was lying about it. I mean, she's a Catholic girl, so didn't you hear the Frank Zappa song? Catholic girls? Yeah, they're sluts. It's not, I'm still a virgin because everything that they did, I heard a girl say this, there was Catholic girls that thought that they were virgins because they just did everything else but. So technically they were entered into. Entering into somebody's mouth or anus is still, that's not a virgin. Sorry. That's Catholics. I'm sorry about you guys having a pope. We don't, the other Christians don't, the pope doesn't mean anything to us. He's nothing. He's not the representative of all. He's not God's representative on earth. That's nonsense. The Pope is not Haktua the Pope. He's no good. Well, actually, whatever. That's a bad choice of words. I'm with Sinead O'Connor about the Pope, where she's tearing up the photo on Saturday Night Live. That was a bad idea, but I understand. I appreciate the sentiment. I don't like the Pope either. I have a Pope dartboard. Maybe I don't know. That's probably a bad idea. Or a money-making idea. I don't like the Pope. But anyway, I do believe in the sanctity of marriage, and women westernized women have easy to know virtue. That's why the westernized women hate the passport bros. They call them loser because they go to another country because they're trying to find a woman whose virtues are intact. You know that even God places a premium on virginity? Yeah, it's in the book of Revelation, or is it in Revelation? It's in several parts in the Bible where he talks about the premium of whether a man or a woman, people that manage to remain virgins. So God values this. But he also knows that we were made, like how we get here. God also told us to be fruitful and multiply. And men and women were literally made for each other. And I see a lot of unhappy people. And you know, you watch the wall videos and you go look at women and like, wow, that's awful. I'm fine without them or whatever. But you realize that they're messed up. Like, they didn't develop properly. You know, that's in some points, the women develop before the men, but then the development stops unless they become moms, and men's development continues. So the men catch up and then surpass because they have to lead, and the women don't change unless the chemicals in their bodies change because they become moms. This is science, and God invented it. So that's, you see what I mean? Like, there's all this stuff has been done to ruin women. And like, I remember a quaint notion. I dated a woman, and she showed me a shoebox full of her vibrators and stuff, and she says, I'm gonna give you a chance, so give me some time. We're fornicators. And she's like, she was gonna give me time to redevelop the sensitivity and the nerve endings of her womb region so that I could bring her to climax, because she was like, you're not gonna be able to do that because I've like blown this thing out with vibrators and all this stuff, and all this, had a box full of these things, and they're like have motors in them, and they go "ee." And then she's like, yeah, she's like, I never met a guy whose thing goes "ee." So that was, she really liked me, she loved me, so she was gonna give me a chance to be the natural way. That's heartbreaking. I mean, I appreciated this. I was like, oh, that's sweet, but I was like, oh, that's awful. That's the world. We broke up, not because of that though. So that's a sweet thing, but it's also like, how sad is that's like, that I would consider that a sweet thing. That's sad, right? That was like a decade ago. So yeah, I just want you to reconsider women. Maybe you don't want it, maybe you have one already, maybe you're doing good, make it work. But I also, you know, they want to destroy the women, you know that, right? I mean, the title of the video is the Extinction of Women. I was deciding, should it be extermination or extinction? Extinction, okay? And we have, going back to the 1920s, where Aldous Huxley wrote the propaganda book, that they keep recasting a spell. Every 10 years we get another iteration of Huxley's Brave New World as a movie, and nobody ever watches any of them. But if you go on YouTube, you can see, going back into like this, probably the 1960s, the different versions of, they keep remaking that movie. Same thing with 1984, they keep remaking it. That's spellcasting 101. When the movie credits roll and it says cast, that's because the actors and actresses are the casters of the spell, and you watch the movie and you get programmed. That's why from its inception, TV was called television programming, as some would say. I forget who said it. It was another YouTuber said, tell lies vision. I was like, oh, that's a good one. I'll use that one. So whoever said it, bless them, Lord. Tell lies vision. But they called it tell lies vision programming, because they're programming you how to think. And now they just do that with your phone. They program everybody how to think. If you're on welfare, they want to give you and everybody in your family and your 7 kids, they want to give you all a cell phone. It's a programming tool. And that screen does stuff to your brain. It's the black mirror, right? That's your magic scry stone. People holding their phones like this are praying, but they're not praying up to the heavens. They're looking down to, You know, looking down to hell, looking into their magician's witch stone, and it's telling them how to think and what to do. And bitches is crazy because of it, by any color. And look at all the, I mean, the whole being a lesbian thing really has taken off. Like, I've traveled all over the country, and I'm like, wow, like there's a lot of women holding hands and being in couples and stuff like that, and it's just not the way that it used to be. It's been propagandized and it's taken, and you know, and well, I blame the wealthy elite whose fortune shaped the fates of nations, but also after that, men are supposed to lead, so we gotta take it back. We gotta get these bitches under lockdown. Right, bitches? I'm talking to the 3 women watching this. No, obviously it's not right. Men and women were supposed to be together. You know, the husband belongs to his wife, and the wife belongs to his husband. Isn't that in Matthew? It's in the Bible. It's in the Gospels. I forget which one. But the husband, maybe Luke, I can't remember. The husband does not belong to himself, he belongs to the wife. The wife does not belong to herself, she belongs to the husband. And when 2 people get married, they're supposed to go away from their parents and start a life together. And it's called together one flesh. You really are becoming together one flesh. It's supposed to be for marriage. You're leaving all that cellular DNA telegony information when you're raw dogging it inside of a woman. You really are marking her up, and you're leaving your information inside that woman. So not only when we fornicate are we wrecking somebody else's wife. It's supposed to be somebody's wife. Do you want to marry a woman and you're like, God, there's a lot of other guys who've been here before me? It doesn't mean you won't love her, but you never wanted that, and I don't even need to know you. That's what happened. But I feel like this episode started out not so good, but it got better. I got to the heart of it. So I hope you stuck around for this video, but that's what happened. You know, they want to wreck the women. They want to make it so that we don't pair up, because a nation is people. Any nation on the world, it's people. So if you have men and women standing together, and they all want the same things, which is safety and security for their families, should they choose to have them. And let's face it, most people do. And look at how hard it's been. They tell us it's hard to have a family and, you know, to even take care of ourselves. This is divide and conquer strategy. But that's how you tell people and push them around to get to do, you know, if you're a wealthy, elite, evil person or BlackRock, whatever, how you tell people to do what you want them to do. They're not going to listen to you. If you have husbands and wives that are together with families, they'll be, you know, like the nation is its people. So they will not accept destruction of their lives. So you have to, over generations, over time, break apart the idea of a family. It's Aleister Crowley poem, The Family, Enemy Number One, The Family. It was Aleister Crowley's poem he wrote to the devil about how the devil hates families. And so since Aleister Crowley was up, the devil literally smooching the devil's bum, his brown eye or whatever, he hated families too, because that's what God intended. God intended men and women to be together, because that's how we make people. It's the one day where we get to be, one of the ways where we get to be in the image and likeness of our Creator is that He created the creation and everything and us. And when a man and a woman join together, that's how we get here. So the devil hates families. Angels deliberately left their posts so that they could have sex with human women. How hot must women have been in the past? You think that they're hot now? Look at all the work that they have done. They must have been so super hot. Abraham and Sarah, or Sarai, however you want to call her, his wife, she was old and barren and couldn't have kids, but Abraham was worried that they were going to kill him to take his wife, and she was beyond the age of being able to have kids. How hot must she have been? Honestly, that's pretty crazy, right? But think about it. Like, why was Abraham worried that they were going to take his wife into a harem, which did happen? Abraham's wife was taken into the harems and she was too old to have kids anymore. What did she look like? So if angels were willing to leave their posts just to enter into human women and create the first witches, who then were given a curse by God, who became the first mermaids. That's the story of the angels who had sex with human women. God didn't want them to do that. And then their children, their offspring, were the Nephilim. So angels may even still to this day be falling for human women, and they're not nearly as hard as they used to be. And they're probably taller in the past too. Anyway, I don't know about that. But anyway, definitely they were hotter. And women are pretty beautiful now, right? I mean, look at all throughout the Old Testament. What ruined men? What brought down Prophet King David? What destroyed Solomon? Women. Prophet King David and Bathsheba, or Bathsheba, however you pronounce it. I mean, he kept trying until he had her husband killed so that he could take her. And then God was like, that's too far, and then made the rest of his life miserable. And then Solomon, he bowed down to false idols because the women were so hot. He's like, okay, I want to bang her. I'll do, whatever this woman says. He had like 1,000 wives, and he still threw it all away for women. The rise and fall of empires and women. That's all truthful stuff. And what do they do to the pop stars, the girls? They give the same example. They start out innocent and sweet. A lot of them start out Christian. Then they do the pop music videos, and they do the fallen angel routine. And they do that in the video. They all did it. And then after that, they go into slut mode as soon as they're old enough to be doing all that dirty stuff. And then they're like, I'm a woman now, and then I'm going to subjugate myself. And then they go into slut mode. And that's the story of every pop star. And then nowadays what happens is they do the fallen angel thing, and then they do sexy harlot thing. And now they're just doing outright, openly satanic, like Taylor Swift is a witch. She's like, you're not Swifties now, you guys are witches. So yeah, they're wrecking all the women on purpose. And look at how the women, like when they talk about Jesus speaking to the multitudes, look at what happens at Taylor Swift concerts, where as far away as people can hear, they're trying to be there just to hear the concert. They don't even get into the concert, and they're crying because they can hear, from a distance that Taylor Swift, and they're just pop songs. Are they really that great? No, I don't know. I'm a man, I don't really listen to music. I don't like sports. That's how a man's supposed. You like sports? That's not a man. Gambling, all that shit, that's terrible. That's part of the problem with men. So anyway, yeah, it's women are manipulable. Men, fathers, older brothers are supposed to protect them. In the olden days, if some hot guy went around banging all the pretty girls in your town, then the guys would get together and they'd beat the shit out of that guy. What, he's a raconteur, he's good at everything, and he's banging all our women? Let's beat the hell out of him and kick him in the ding-ding and say, you got to pick one or you got to get out of town, because you're not going to go marking up all our girls. We're going to marry them girls. And the dads would be there too. And they beat the hell out of that guy. That doesn't happen anymore. Now the dad's like, you have to keep the door open. And then the kids, they're fooling around anyway, at their own peril. That's fornicating. You're not allowed to do that. You're supposed to save it for marriage. You're supposed to fall in love with your high school sweetheart, because then you can build a lifetime with somebody. Does that work anymore? Well, no, they tried to ruin everything, and the way that they tried to ruin everything was wrecking the women, because they have the wombs. That's how we get here. I've been saying that the whole time. So yeah, I probably really could keep going, but I will end this video now. What do you think about it? Maybe this is one of those videos where maybe I might take another crack at it, where some of the stuff I said later I'll put up front, but there was no I just like sat down and started doing the video. It wasn't I don't have any alternate takes to this, so maybe I'll come back and do this video again. So I hope you like this version of it. And you know, you can still pray to God, hey, please, honestly, please, Lord, I know you know who'd be perfect for me. You know all the women, or you know, if you're a woman watching this, hey, Lord, I know you know all the guys. Who'd be perfect for me? You should be looking for somebody that, I don't know how else to quantify it right now, but just to get on with it, to say, somebody your speed. You know, a lot of times people can get someone out of their level of attractiveness. Good. Can you keep them? I would like to boast and show you like photos of exes and stuff, because I did pretty good. I never thought I was very handsome, but I was like, how do I keep getting them? And I don't know, like, I'm glad I didn't marry any of them. But you know, they were hot. I don't know. So, you know, women can do the same thing too. I'm like, what's that about? He knock her up or something? Why is he with her? But yeah, you know, like, pray to God that he would set you up with somebody that's appropriate to you, and that you would please, Lord, clean her up for me. Please, Lord, clean me up so that it'll work out between us. I know you know everybody. Set me up with somebody good. I'm not joking about this. It's friendship with God, right? Who is going to be a better friend? Your best friend is always going to be God. So you pray to God, please, Lord, set me up with someone. I want it to last unto eternity with you in heaven, where we'll both be. And you can pray for this. And I know people do pray for a mate, but, you know, I would say tell him to set you up with somebody. And, you know, somebody that would be good for me, that I'd be good for. You know, and then, you know, let it go and just try and work on self-improvement. It didn't used to matter, this whole stuff of he has to be a high-value man or whatever the men are supposed to expect the women to do. Women never had to do much. It was just like, oh, she likes me back or whatever. The guys are pretty easy. But, you know, they've set through social media impossible standards for women, because they can't make up their minds. And then the guys are like, you know, like, they don't want that. Like, I've been in that situation where I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, not interested. I don't want that. And look at me. I'm not, again, not special. Just some kind of guy. I should probably get a haircut. I'm not gonna. I like it like this. So, yeah, men and women that were made for each other. We need who to be and who to find for peace on earth for all mankind, all men. And the devil hates that about us, because we're able to create. Angels aren't supposed to do that. He didn't even want them to do that. He said, I have your place for you guys, and you're not, I don't want you entering into the women. You're messing with my whole plan. Even though he knew, he was prepared that this would happen. It's God, he's perfect. But he did not approve. He did not like the Nephilim. That has something to do with why the earth got flooded. All the trouble that the fallen angels caused in creating the first witches and mermaids and all this stuff. He turned them into fish so that you couldn't have sex with them. I did a whole video on this. I might have to do that one again. But, yeah, I mean, men and women literally were made for each other. It's how we get here. So if you want to control the planet in globalization, then you have to control the womb. So they want to destroy the womb. Look at the, like, westernized, industrialized countries, the high infertility rates, and getting a lab involved, a man and a woman being together. No, what Satan wants is for a lab to be involved, so that how we get here has in vitro involved, and have a, you know, a man and a woman and in a lab full of people. Was never supposed to be. Look at women going to have birth in the hospital, and really what's happening is you're being contracted at birth and born into the system, and the first people you see are faceless strangers who you'll never see again for your whole life. When the entire history of mankind was that without hospitals, the earth was populated. Women were made so that if they so choose, women were literally made to be able to have babies without hospitals. Now, would you really want to have a kid without having a hospital involved? No, like they've degraded us. Mankind is a degenerate species. We're not evolving. We've degraded. We serve our machines. Like our machines aren't serving us. We're serving them. It's awful. AI is not serving us. It's serving us up. It's sacrificing us. We're the offering. It's awful. It's harder to find these anymore, but it used to be really easy. Just do a Google image search and see large families, like where it's like two little short people, and then there's like 20 or 30 people that look just like them, and that's all their kids that they had, because you know, like they were having like a baby a year, and family, like having a big family with lots of kids was normal and a blessing. Oh great, we have another person to help us thrive as a family. Now it's like to have one kid is like, oh, we can't afford it, or if we do, we have to get on the welfare system, and we can't get out of the welfare system, or we'll lose the benefits. It's awful. But yeah, it used to be really easy to Google image search, like just in the past when there was no hospitals, how many kids that people had. So I'm gonna go. Call your father. And you know, think about women differently, and if you're a woman, think about men differently. They scrambled us on purpose. It's not our fault. Yeah, they co-opted us and tricked us in the legalistic ways of demons like lawyers. They tricked us and said, but you did this, now we can prey upon you in this way. But that's never what God wanted for us. He only wanted good things for us. He gave us free will to choose, and a lot of these choices are taken out of our hands. But we do have the ability to forgive. So we have to find some way to realize that and recognize that we're all tricked and forgive. But that doesn't mean, you know, that you should go out and date some kind of horrible person. Or if you are that horrible person, you have to change. And I say this to men and women both, on the odd chance that there is any women here. You can't just blame women. You blame the wealthy elite whose fortunes shape the fates of nations, because they are responsible. They have their strategy for how they want the world run. So to give us all these nonsense and lies about climate change and global warming, meanwhile they're using geoengineering to change the climate. Go look at the NASA cloud machine videos and you can see how they make clouds. It's a really loud and noisy process, and it's weird when you see the clouds shoot out of the machine and they rise up into the sky and they change weather. And we know that they change weather because they're going to go over to UK and block out the sun because the rays of the sun will be too harmful. Those people already don't get enough sun. They look like potatoes. They're pale and wan and everything like that. And then how do you think it's going to do where they bring people from another climate as immigrants in there and then take the sun away from them when they're used to getting more sun? That's just bad health for everybody, even the new people that they brought over there in the, you know what I mean. It's just to kill everybody. Their evil is non-discriminate. It's just to destroy as many human lives as possible because misery loves company. And the wealthy elite whose fortunes shape the fates of nation are evil, and they want to sacrifice us up to demons so that they can get whatever it is that they want. And they probably just like it. They like drinking blood and adrenaline and all these things. I know it's called adrenochrome, but I like to say adrenaline. I just think it's funnier that way, this horrible ghoulish thing. Yeah, it's the devil. It's the devil. Remember that? Remember that guy? It's the devil. It is, though. They're always trying to get us to contract and make covenants with them, whether we're awake or whether we're asleep, or whether we're sleeping through our waking lives. Yeah. I'm sorry they did that to all of us. Hey, they did it to me too. But, you know, I champion love. Don't give up on love. A lot of people are confused about love. Even LGBTQ people want at least one person they can trust, and they want to pair up with that person for life, and, well, it's not working out for them either. But that's supposed to be the way. That's perfect. Hey, you're just like me. We haven't had the same parts. It's not working out for them either. It's divide and conquer. They want everyone divided and conquered. They want us to cross over from humans Julian Huxley, transhumanism. They want to cross us over from being humans and turn us into men of metal and mirror clay and like bugs, and just have us on hormones for the rest of our lives, as many as they can get, putting litter boxes into classrooms. This is to destroy the womb, ultimately, and give us micro PPs, and like China has already, and all that stuff. It's heartbreaking. It's not fair. How would you like to be Chinese and have the world's tiniest penises? It's awful. It's still a man. It's just taking a man and ruining them and then programming them with evil stuff, and then we fight each other because we live in different places. It's all about destroying all of us, and ultimately it's about destroying the family. And women have the wombs, and that's how we get here. So they want to get those numbers down. That's the way that Gates put it. And we got to get those numbers down. It's evil. And Oprah Winfrey talking to them like she has anything to say at Bilderberg meetings about, yeah, there's too many people. Yeah, too many people for you. The slaves are outnumbered, the slave system. So they got to get those numbers down by every means necessary. So you hold the phone in your hand and they're ruining us. So it's Planet Daddy issue down here. Call your Father who art in heaven and pray. And pray that God would put cracks and tears in their plans so that they never see fruition, and so that the 15-minute cities never get to be built, and all the other stuff. Because you think that's going to be good for families? No, they don't want families. Why? Because Aleister Crowley wrote the poem, Ode to the Devil, the family, enemy number one. Because it is, the devil hates families. He wants to destroy mankind, and so do all of his minions and all the other demons and all the angels that are going to hell. Misery loves company. They just want us to go to hell with them. So whatever it is the devil wants, we don't want him to have it. And pray to God for help. And tell him, set me up with someone, Lord, please. Hey, tell him to do that for me. Tell him to set me up with somebody. I'm not getting any younger. I want to know what it's like to have love done right while I'm still down here on earth, because in heaven we're not given to love. We're not given over to marriage the same way. We become more like the angels. But down here on earth, like we're supposed to, right? I've done all kinds of stuff I'm not supposed to do. It's fun. I can't imagine how great it would be to be sanctified by God in marriage. And thank him for that. Thanks, Lord. I didn't realize how great married sex was. It's the best. Thanks. I'm so glad I got to know in the second short half of life. Please, Lord, recompense me sevenfold for that which the enemy has taken away from me. She has to be like 7 times hotter than anyone I've ever dated. And better inside of her heart and everything. And women can do this too. Please, Lord, I dated a lot of jerks. Recompense me sevenfold for all these losers that told me they'd love me, and then, whoever you are. So anyway, pray to God, ask for help, never stop praying. It's the one thing that the wealthy elite whose fortune shaped the fates of nations don't want you to do. They don't want you to pray to God and ask for help. And his name is Jesus. Planet Daddy issue, here's the part where I do, call your Father. Amen.
What about the girls who say, oh, they don't take a bath?
They're all idiots. We take showers like every 2 a day. I know, all these people, like all these little rapper guys. I take one in the morning and one in the evening. Smell our hair. They're like, hey, did you take a shower today? I'm like, yeah, and I took one last night. They're like, well, you don't smell like it.
But the
thing is, they can't because we don't brush.
That's what's funny because
I know.
It's like,
There's another one.
oh yeah, he's a real grungy.
They think that because we don't they think that because we don't brush our hair, we don't wash it, we don't shower.
I know, I take 2 showers a day.
I do too.
I wake up in the morning.
I usually take I take 3 showers a day. I take 5. Wait, this is me. I wake up in the morning and I take a shower, and then after school I take a shower, and then at night I take a shower.
But I kind of have like a solution of oil and dirt in a bottle, and like kind of I rub it in to make it look oily.
But why? Is that a political thing, or are you trying to make a statement?
That's really.
Oh yeah, cause see, and then I like rub it in the dirt,
and she rubs it all over her skin.
And then she gets her mom to like drive over her clothes in the truck.
People have fabricated this whole myth about you guys. How do you react to that? Do you like the fame? You're celebrities on campus, you know?
I'm fucking famous.